Hello, Professor. This is Jeremy Max from your 105 English course. I'm going to read an epic poem by Homer called the Odyssey, translated by Robert Fagles. Book 1. Athena inspires the prince. Sing to me of the man, Muse, the man of twists and turns, driven time and again off course. Once he had plundered the hallowed heights of Troy. Many cities of men he saw and learned their minds. Many pains he suffered, heartsick on the open sea, fighting to save his life and bring his comrades home. But he could not save them from this disaster. Hard as he strove, the recklessness of their own ways destroyed them all. The blind fools, they devoured the cattle of the sun, and the sun god blotted out the day that they returned. Launch out on his story, Muse, the daughter of Zeus. Start from where you will, sing for our time too. By now, all the survivors, all who avoided headlong death, were safe at home, escaped the wars and waves. But one man alone, his heart set on his wife and his return. Calypso, the bewitching nymph, the lustrous goddess, held him back, deep in her arching caverns, craving him for a husband. But then, when the wheeling seasons brought the year around, the year spun out by the gods, when he stood reach his home, Ithaca. Though not even there would he be free of trials, even among his loved ones. Then every god took pity, all except Poseidon. He raged on, seething against the great Odysseus till he reached his native land. But now Poseidon had gone to visit the Ethiopians worlds away, Ethiopians off at the farthest limits of mankind. The people split into one part where the sun god sets and one part where the sun god rises. There Poseidon went to receive an offering, bulls and rams by the hundreds. Far away at a feast, the sea lord sat and took his pleasure. But the other gods, at home in Olympian, Zeus's halls, met for a full assembly there, and among them now the father of men and gods was first to speak, sorely troubled, remembering handsome Agathos, the man Agamemnon's son, renowned Orestes killed. Recalling Agathos, Zeus harangued the immortal powers. Oh, how shameless, the way these mortals blame the gods. From us alone they sat and come all their miseries, yes, but they themselves, with their own reckless ways, compound their pains beyond the proper share. Look at Agathos now. Above and beyond his share he stole Atreid's wife. He murdered the warlord coming home from Troy, though he knew it meant his own total ruin. Far in advance we told him so ourselves, dispatching the guide, the giant killer, Hermes. Don't murder the man, he said. Don't court his wife. Beware, revenge will come from Orestes, Agamemnon's son. That day he came of age and longs for his native land. So Hermes warned with all the goodwill in the world. But would Agathos' hardened heart give way? Now he pays the price. At all the single stroke. And sparkling-eyed Athena drove the matter home. Father, son of Cronus, our high and mighty king, surely he goes down a death he earned in full. Let them all die, so all who do such things. But my heart breaks for Odysseus, the seasoned veteran, cursed by fate so long. Far from his loved ones still, he suffers torments. Off on a wave-washed island, rising at the center of the seas, a dark wooden island, and there's a goddess makes her home. Daughter of Atlas, wicked Titan, who sounds the deep in all of its depth, whose shoulders lift so high, the colossal pillars thrusting earth and sky apart. Atlas's daughter is who holds Odysseus captive, luckless man, despite his tears forever trying to spellbound his heart with suave, seductive words, and wiping all thought of Ithaca from his mind. But he, straining for no more than a glimpse of hearth smoke drifting up from his own island, Odysseus longed to die. Olympian Zeus, have you no care for him in your lofty heart? Did he never win your favor with sacrifices burned beside the ships on the broad plain of Troy? Why, Zeus, why so dead set against Odysseus? My child, Zeus, who marshals the thunderheads, replied, what nonsense you let slip through your teeth. Now, how on earth could I forget Odysseus, great Odysseus, who excels all men in wisdom, excels in offering too? He gives the immortal gods who rule the vaulting skies. No, it's the earth shaker, Poseidon, unpleased, forever fuming against him for the Cyclops, whose giant eye he blinded, godlike Pythermes, towering over all the Cyclops clans in power. The nymph Thusa bore him, the daughter of Phorcys, lord of the barren salt sea. She met Poseidon once in his vaulting caves, and they made love. And now, for his blinded son, the earthquake god, thought he wouldn't quite kill Odysseus, drives him far off course from native land. But come, all of us here, put heads together now. Work out his journey home so Odysseus can return. Lord Poseidon, I trust, will let his anger go. How can he stand his ground against the will of all the gods at once? One god alone? Athena, her eyes flashing bright, exulted, Father, son of Cronus, our high and mighty king, if now is really pleases the blissful gods, what that wise Odysseus shall return home at last. Let us dispatch the guide and giant killer Hermes down to Olgia Island, down to announce at once to the nymph with lovely braids our fixed decree. Odysseus journeys home, the exile must return, while I myself go down to Ithaca, rouse his son to a braver pitch, inspire his heart with courage to summon the flowing-haired Achaeans to fully assemble, speak his mind to all those suitors, slaughtering on and on his droves of sheep and shambling longhorn cattle. Next I will spend him Send him off to Sparta and sandy Pylos. There he will learn of his dear father's journey home. Perhaps he will hear some news and make his name throughout the mortal world. So Athena bowed, and under her feet she fastened the supple sandals, ever-glowing gold, that wing her over the waves and boundless earths with the rush of gushing winds. She seized the rugged spear tipped with bronze point, weighing heavy and massive shaft she wields to break the lines of heroes the mighty father's daughter storms against. And down she swept from Olympus, craggling peaks, and lit on Ithaca, standing tall at Odysseus's gates. The threshold of the court, gripping her bronze spear, she looked for all the world like a stranger now, like Mences, lord of Tamphians. There she found the swaggering suitors, just then amusing themselves with rolling dice before the doors, lounging on hides of oxen they had killed themselves, while heralds and brisk attendants bustled around them, some at mixing bowls, mulling wine and water, others wiping tables down with soaping sponges, setting them out in place. Still other servants joined and carved the great sides of meat. First, but by far to see her was Prince Telemachus, sitting among the suitors, heart obsessed with grief. He could almost see his magnificent father here, in his mind's eye, if only he might drop from the clouds, and drive these suitors all in a rout throughout the halls, and regain his pride of place, and rule his own domains. Daydreaming so he sat among the suitors, and he glimpsed Athena now, and straight to the porch he went, mortified that a guest might still be standing at the doors. Pausing beside her, he clasped the right hand, and revealing her once of her long bronze spear, met her with winged words. Greetings, stranger. Here in our house you'll find a royal welcome. Have supper first, then we'll tell us what you need. He led the way, and Pallas Athenas followed. Once in the high-roofed halls, he took her lance, and fixed it firm in a burnished rack against a sturdy pillar. There were rows on rows of spears, embattled Odessey's spears stood stacked and waiting. Then he escorted her to a high, elaborate chair of honor. It was draped a cloth, and there he placed his guest with a stool to rest her feet, but for himself he drew a low reclining chair beside her, richly painted, clear of the press and of the suitors. Concerned, his guest, offended by their uproar, might shrink from food in the midst of such a mob. He hoped, what's more, to ask him about the long-lost father. A maiden who brought water soon in a grateful golden pitcher, and over a silver basin tipped it out, so they might rinse their hands, then put a gleaming table to their side. A staid housekeeper brought on bread to serve them, appetizers aplenty too, lavished with their bounty. A carver lifted platters of meat towards them, meat of every sort, and set between them golden cups. And time and again a page came around and poured them wine. But now the suitors choked with all their swagger, and took their seats on a low and high-backed chairs. Heralds poured wine over their hands for rinsing. Serving maids brought bread heaped high in trays, and young men brimmed the mixing bowls with wine. They reached out for the good things that laid at hand, and when they put aside desire for food and drink, the suitors set their minds on other pleasures, song and dancing, all that crowns a feast. A herald placed an ordinate lure in Feminus's hands. The bard who always performed among them there, they forced the man to sing a rippling prelude, and no sooner had he struck up his rousing song than Telemachus had close to Athena's sparkling eyes, spoke low to his guest so no one else could hear. Dear stranger, would you be shocked by what I say? Look at them over there, not a care in the world, just lyres and tunes, easy for them, all right. They feed on another's goods and go scot-free, a man whose white bones lie strewn in the rain somewhere, rotting away on land or strolling down the ocean's salty swells. But that man, if they caught sight of him home in Ithaca, by God, they'd all pray to be faster on their feet than richer in the bars of gold and heavy robes. But now, no use, he's dead, and a wretched death. No comfort left for us, not if someone somewhere says he's coming home. The day of his return will never dawn. Enough. Tell me about yourself now, clearly, point by point. Who are you? Where are you from? Your city? Your parents? What sort of vessel brought you here? Why did the sailors land you here in Ithaca? Who did they say they are? I hardly think you came all this way on foot. And tell me this for a fact. I need to know. Is this your first time here, or are you a friend of father's, a guest from the olden days? Once crowds of other men would come to our house on visitors that he was when he walked among the living. Her eyes glinting, Goddess Athena answered, My whole story, of course. I'll tell it point by point. Wise old Anchialus was my father. My own name is Mentes, Lord of the Tamphian. Men who love their oars, and here I've come just now with the ship and crew, sailing the wide dark sea to foreign ports of call, to Tempe's, out for bronze. Our cargo gleaming iron. Our ships lie moored off farmlands far from town, riding in Rithron cave, beneath Mount Neon's woods. As for the tides between your father and myself, we've been friends forever, I'm proud to say, and he would bear me out. If you went and questioned old Lord Latheries, he, I gather, no longer virtues into town, but lives a life of hardship, all to himself. Off on his farmstead with an aged serving woman who tends him well, who gives him food and drink when weariness has taken a hold of his withered limbs, from hauling himself along his vineyard's steep slopes. And now I've come. And why? I heard that he was back. Your father, that is. But no, the gods thwart his passage. Yet I tell you, great Odysseus is not dead. He's still alive. Somewhere in the world wide, he held captive out at sea on a wave-washed island, and hard men, savages, somehow hold him back against his will. Wait, I'll make you a prophecy. The immortal gods have planted in my mind. It will come true, I think, though I am hardly a seer or know the flights of birds. He won't be gone long from the native land he loves, not even if iron shackles bind your fathers down. He's plodding away to journey home at last. He's never at loss. But come, please, tell me about yourself now, point by point. You're truly Odysseus' son? You've sprung up so uncanny resemblance. The head and the fine eyes. I see him now. How often we used to meet in the olden days, before he embarked for Troy, with other Argive captains. All the best men sailed in a long curved ships. From then to this very day, I've not set eyes on Odysseus, or he on me. And young Telemachus casually replied, I'll try, my friends, to give you a frank answer. Mother has always told me I am his son. It's true. I am almost not certain who on his own has ever really known who gave him life. Would to God I'll been the son of a happy man, whom old age overtook in the midst of his possessions. Now think of the most unlucky mortal ever born. Since you ask me, yes, they say I am his son. Still, the clear-eyed goddess reassured him, Trust me, the gods have not marked out your house for such an unsung future. If the Penelope has borne a son like you, but tell me about all this and spare me nothing. What is banqueting? What's this banqueting? This crowded carousing here, and what part of do you play yourself? Some wedding feast? Some festival? Hardly a potluck supper. I would say, how obscenely they lounge and swagger here. Look, gorging in your house. Why, any man of sense who chanced among them would be outraged, seeing such behavior. Ready, Telemachus took her up at once. Well, my friend, seeing you want to probe and press the question, once this house was rich, no doubt, beyond reproach, when the man you mentioned still lived here, at home. Now the gods have reversed our fortunes with a vengeance. wiping that man from the earth like no one else before. I would never have grieved so much about his death if he'd gone down with comrades off in Troy, or died in the arms of loved ones. Once he had wound up down the long coil of war, then all united Achaea would have raised his tomb, and he'd have won his son great fame for years to come. But now the whirlwinds have ripped him away, no fame for him. He's lost and gone now, out of sight, out of mind, and he's left me tears and grief, nor do I rack my heart and grieve for him alone. No longer, now the gods have invented other miseries to plague me with. Listen, all the nobles who rule the islands round about, Deucalion and Same, and wooden Zaclius too, and who lord it in rocky Ithaca as well. Down the last man they court my mother, they lay waste my house, and mother she neither rejects a marriage she despises, nor can she bear to bring the courting to an end. While they continue to bleed my household white, so you wait, they'll grind me down too. Shameful, brimming with indignation, Pallas Athena broke out. Oh, how much you need Odysseus, gone so long. So how he lay his hands on all these brazen suitors, if only he would appear now. At his house outer gates, and take his stand, armed with his helmet, shield, and a pair of spears, as strong as the man I've glimpsed at the first time in our own house, drinking wine and reveling there. Just come in from Ithora, visiting Ilus, murmur us, son. Odessey sailed that way, you see, in his swift trim ship, hunting deadly poison to smear on his arrows, bronze heads. Odysseus refused. He feared the wrath of the everlasting gods, but father, so fond of him, gave him all he wanted. If only that Odysseus sported with these suitors, a blood wedding, with quick death would take the lot. True, but all lies on the lap of the great gods, whether or not he'll come home and pay them back here in his own house. But I urge you, think of how to drive these suitors from your halls. Come now. Listen closely, take my words to heart. At daybreak summon the island's lords to full assembly. Give your orders to all and call the gods to witness. Tell the suitors to scatter, each to his own place. As for your mother, if the spirit moves her to marry, let her go back to her father's house, a man of power. Her kin will arrange the wedding, provided the gifts, the array that goes with the daughter dearly loved. For you, I have some good advice, if only you will accept it. Fit out a ship with 20 oars, the best in sight. Sail in quest of news of your long lost father. Someone may tell you something, or you may catch a rumor straight from Zeus, rumor that carries news to men like nothing else. First, go down to Pylos, question old King Nestor, then cross over to Sparta, to red-haired Menelaus. Of all the bronze-armored Achaeans, the last man back. Now, if you hear your father's alive and heading home, hard-pressed as you are, brave out one more year. If you hear he's dead, no longer among the living, then back you come to the native land you love. Raise his grave mound, build his honors high, with full funeral rites that he deserves, and give your mother another husband. Then, once you've sealed those matters, seen them through, think hard, reach down deep in your heart and soul for a way to kill these suitors in your house. By stealth or by open combat, you must not cling to your boyhood any longer. It is time that you were a man. Haven't you heard what glory Prince Ortheles won throughout the world? When he killed that cunning, murderous Agathos, who killed his famous father. And you, my friend, how tall and handsome I see you. Be brave, you too. So men to come will sing your praises down the years. But now I must go back to my swift trim ship, and all my shipmates chafing there. I am sure, waiting for my return. It all rests with you. Take my words to heart. This is the end.